Hey, Connor. Welcome back. How are you?
Hello. Good. Thank you. How about yourself?
Yeah. Well, it's been a month. It's been quite the month. How were your holidays?
They're good. Pretty relaxing. I finally took some time off. I feel like I went pretty hard towards the end of last year. So, um, yeah, I pretty much didn't do much work from about the 20th until the 1st of, um, this year. So it was good to relax. But yeah, then right back into the swing of things.
Yeah, well, welcome back. I hope you don't consider this work.
No, this is not work. This is just having a friendly chat.
So we've got Mark, we've got Colleen. If you're new here, say hi in the chat. Frankly, I've been off like you for about a month and a half now, and I think I've forgotten everything about streaming. Like I don't know what any of the buns do. I'm like super stressed out that nothing is working. So please let us know in the chat. If you can hear us and if everything is working. And yeah, I'm like really excited to be back. It felt really good to get off the kind of hamster wheel of creating content, of generating stuff for a couple of weeks, and kind of really gave me energy to come back. So I'm really excited for 2022. I'm excited with our projects. I'm excited about no code in general. So I think it's going to be a good year. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so we've got Colleen, we've got Mark. Welcome. Yeah, excited to have you all back. Like, I'd love to know what are some of the things you're working on in 2020, folks. Let us know in the chat. Um, and yeah, Connor, how was winter? I know, I'm Canadian. I know it's your kind of second proper winter, and I know we've got some Canadians in the chat. So,
Yeah.
how are you feeling?
Well, it's a lot of snow. Let's put it this way. I mean, like I knew it was going to be cold, but like over the last few days, there's been a lot of snow. So that I've been, yeah, that's been my responsibility in the household, just making sure to clear our balcony and the driveway. So still getting used to it, but it's nice. We don't really have a lot of snow or any snow for that matter in New Zealand. So that novelty factor of snow is still there, but I am definitely spending most of my time indoors.
Yeah, sorry. So, Penny, this should be good now. I should fix it. So let me know if you can hear me in both ears. So yeah, for folks who are not Canadian, we got what, like 20, 30 centimeters, which is 9 inches of snow. And I know, you're the kind of like the first person I probably reached out to be like, are you okay? Have you ever seen this much snow? And got on a Zoom call just to make sure that you're kind of good to go. Uh,
Yeah. I actually
uh,
couldn't believe it. Like our entire our car was snowed in. Like we walked out. I could not believe how much snow there was. It's kind of cool. Um, but yeah, it's you're just getting used to it. But yes, it definitely is something that toughens us up a bit. I won't lie. I go for a lot of runs. I haven't gone for a run like pretty much at all this month, just because I'm kind of like, let's just stick to like indoor workouts instead.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm getting used to it. I promise you.
Yeah, and it only gets it only gets worse, right? With Penny, and Penny's so right. So there was this tweet, and I know I'm like completely derailing no code talk, but there was this tweet of a kid getting interviewed on CBC, and honestly, that kid is me younger. Like chubby, square glasses, totally over, like not hates doing work. So if I can find it between two segments, I'll show everyone both this hilarious interview, but also a spitting image of me as a kid.
Hmm.
And I sent it to all
Hmm.
my friends, and they're all like, "Oh my god, it's like you 20, maybe 15, 20 years ago."
Yeah.
And the kid's great. So welcome to Canada, Connor. Officially, I think after your first 20, 30 centimeter snowstorm, you can consider yourself one of us.
Yes, thank you. And just to wrap this up, Amir said I got to learn cross country skiing. So I actually did that last year, and it was the first time I ever did cross country skiing. And I'm telling you now, you get punished badly if you don't have good technique. So I can still feel my legs from that cross country ski last year, but I'm definitely going to give it another try.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's technique, Connor, but it's also like cardio. It's a lot of things. You gotta
Yeah, it's true.
you gotta get to it. Cool. What are we talking? What are we here for, Connor? Yeah, right. Okay, let's get back to our agenda. So, so, uh, yeah, it's always a little weird to introduce our own project here on No Code Talk, but I think this was, Connor, one of our the things we've been working for a while. So we wanted to spend some time at the start talking about code meets no code. So yeah, Connor, I'll let you kind of take us off. Like, what is code meets no code? Why did we decide to launch it? And talk us through our little project here.
Okay, so Code Meets No Code in a nutshell is a website where you'll find a whole bunch of different scripts that you can use in tools like Airtable scripts or Postman, those types of things. And the idea behind it is to basically help people who might be familiar with tools like Zapier or Integromat to learn some like coding concepts that they can then use to basically build more advanced workflows and all those types of things. And this really started because I was interested in learning a little bit more about scripting. As soon as Airtable scripts launched, which was probably like last year, maybe a bit more, I kind of felt like it seemed like a very powerful feature, but I couldn't use it. So after watching some of your videos on your on this channel, Aaron, and also doing a little bit of research, I started to slowly get into how you can potentially use scripts. And then about 6 months ago, I think we started jumping on calls and going over some specific things that you could do with Webflow. And that's where I realized that, now that I've gotten to the point where I understand how to set up workflows and tools like Integromat or Zapier, that it's actually not that difficult to transfer those skills into writing scripts. And, because one thing that I've learned is like whenever I'm learning something new, and I get excited about it, that is the best time to basically share that with other people, to teach other people. And so what we've done is we've basically started working on these scripts that we can share with other people, and not just share with other people. We don't just want to give you something that you can copy and paste into your website. We actually want to show you how the code is created so that you can basically then go and start setting up your own scripts. You can start setting up your own workflows. And I think in a nutshell, that is what Code Meets No Code is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So some background here of this. That was the polished version of what happened. But what the actual version is that Connor would write to me every morning, all caps, "Oh my God, check out the script I just wrote." Right. And then he would link to like the Zapier integration or the workaround that, he no longer had to do. And I think it was Connor's excitement, like on a daily basis of like, hey, check out this cool script. Oh my God, look at what I just did in Webflow. That got us thinking of like, hey, if we enjoy this so much, I'm sure there are other folks who are, interested in learning and doing similar workflows. So, so yeah, really, this is it. We wanted to create a community of folks who are like us, who are interested in automating using as few tools as possible and trying to get the most out of the existing tools that they use. So we started off with 3 kind of series here. Getting started with low code, which is just me kind of introing different elements that you're going to need, like Postman, JSON, and the basic stuff. And then Connor gave us or teaches us, his most iconic script, I think, and probably one of the he's most proud of turning Webflow CMS, actually turning Airtable into your Webflow CMS. So yeah, maybe Connor, talk us through a little bit about, if someone is interested in this, like what could they expect from this course in turning Airtable into your Webflow CMS?
Yep. So the way that we've approached creating these libraries, as we call them, is we've looked at like the most common use cases for different APIs. So in the case of Webflow, I asked myself, what are the action steps that are most commonly used? So you'll have things like create new items inside of the Webflow CMS, update items inside of the CMS, delete items inside the CMS, those types of things. And so what we did was we basically go through the process of translating all of the API docs. So in this case, the Webflow CMS API docs into scripts that you can use. And it really covers everything that you would otherwise do in something like Zapier or Integromat. And so we basically cover everything. You'll learn how to map the different field types from Airtable to the Webflow CMS. You'll also learn how to, you know, deal with errors that come up, which will come up. And in fact, errors and stuff like that are things that I leave in the tutorials on purpose because I didn't want to create the illusion that it's pretty simple and straightforward, just copy and paste things. Like, no, whenever you're working with scripts, you're bound to run into a lot more niggly little issues. But what we did was we basically walk through every individual step. I show you my process for figuring out how to fix certain things. And yeah, this is basically a complete rundown of how you could potentially use scripts rather than something like Integromat or Zapier to send data from Airtable to Webflow and vice versa.
Yeah. And it's, what's interesting is that I think it very much maps our process over the last year plus of, us creating these scripts, right? And
Mhm.
this one's an Airtable, but we have kind of in the works around how to show live data in your Webflow website. How do you,
Mhm.
ping third-party APIs? And the Getting Started series is kind of no-code tool agnostic. Really teaches you the basics of how to use no-code. So yeah, man, it's such I don't know. I've been thrilled and with the response, and the folks who are joining are really kind of I'm surprised of how many people are interested. And I don't know about you, Connor, but it feels like the response has kind of blown me away in terms of how much people are contributing to the community, how much interest they're seeing in all the different content. um
Mhm.
so yeah, I've just been super jazzed.
Oh, for sure. And the one thing that has been, yeah, like you said, one of the things that has been the best about doing this, like with a group of people for the last week, is just getting to see what level everyone's at. So we've got people who are, just really getting started with automation, but then we also have people who are super advanced. So we've had people in our community post tutorials into our circle community showing some pretty advanced things. And so, besides learning what I think is like a pretty exciting skill, you also connect with other people who might be a bit more advanced or be specialized in certain tools. So, it's been awesome. It's been really great. It's been really great to meet new people. And yeah, looking forward to seeing what happens with it next.
Yeah, absolutely. So one example, and I think this is what I'm most excited about around, code meets no code, is yeah, the content we're creating and teaching other folks. But I think above all, what I'm excited about is the community we're creating around low code, right? I do think the future of no code is, low code, essentially taking no code tools, but really pushing them to their limit with a little bit of code. So I wanted to
Mhm.
kind of share one example that I thought was really cool in our kind of wins here. We had Martin, if I can find it here. Yeah, so one example I think was Martin, and I think that's our next segment here. So let me switch it over here.
Yep.
So someone asked like, hey, I use Jotform and want to be able to sync Jotform to Airtable, but one of the challenges is that Airtable has linked records, but Jotform
Yep.
doesn't.
Yep.
And Martin kind of proposed this super interesting solution using Jotform's kind of custom code ability to be able to
Mhm.
pull in those linked records. And I think this was kind of one of your workflows. So happy to let you talk about it.
Yeah, so this was actually fascinating because I didn't actually know that this was possible. And this is a use case that has come up a lot. And basically, what it is when someone fills out a form in Jotform and they're selecting something from, say, a drop down, you might want to define the options that are available based on information that sits inside of an Airtable table. But at the moment, the only real thing that you can do in order to make that happen is to manually import those options all the time. So that is incredibly time consuming. But what Martin did is he shows us how he used custom JavaScript to basically import all of the records that sit inside of an Airtable table and make those available in a drop down field inside of Jotform, which is absolutely game changing because with that, you'll be able to set up way more dynamic forms. You can set up way better conditional logic. And this is a perfect example of where no code and low code intersect and where you can push a no code tool beyond the boundaries that it currently has.
Absolutely. So I'm not sure if I can play a YouTube video. I'm a little worried of like the feedback that that might create. So I just dropped the link in that. And Martin's has a great YouTube channel around automation, so folks to check it out. But I think more
Yeah.
broadly, what I'm most excited about is folks contributing to this community, building out and sharing their own kind of low code wins. And I think this is a perfect example of like, hey, this used to take either multiple tools to use or was impossible without a tiny bit of code, and folks have
Mhm.
been super nice to share their scripts as well. So yeah, I'm like I'm just excited. I don't know, I keep saying it, but I'm just really, really.
Yeah. And obviously, like we're like a week into this, we've got 2 modules, but we're gonna be rolling out more. So the next one that we're gonna be launching when Stripe releases the Stripe Payment Links API is how to create an Airtable e-commerce store, where you can basically create payment links that then basically allows you to create an Airtable store, and it's pretty fun. And the cool thing about this is that when this launches, the Zapier or Integromat might not have an integration with payment links, which means that this is just a really good way to skip the line and to basically learn how to script with a really fun use case.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's a perfect example of like Stripe will often prioritize developers as their first primary audience, just like many other
Mhm.
tools, right? And then, they'll think about integrating into third parties. If you kind of cloak yourself as one of those developers using a little bit of low code, you can get access to things faster and start implementing them. And I think this is a perfect example, and it's a perfect intro to Stripe payment links, and how to kind of code and use all that functionality straight out of the gate. Okay, so that was an overview of code meets no code. Do encourage folks to join. If you're interested, you can use the code first100. We're giving out discounts to every first 100. I think we have maybe 20, 25 seats left, if I'm not mistaken on that one. So yeah, would love to see you in a community. If folks have any questions, reach out to us, drop it in the chat. There was one question I did want to kind of address from Penny before we move on. Just bring it up here. Question from Penny: how do scripts compare to FinSuite's Noble Airtable? Happy to take this one. Noble app is out of the box, right? So what that means is it has the advantage of install the app, press sync. It'll take everything from your Airtable table, sync it over to Webflow. The disadvantage of that, in my view, is just flexibility, right? So that ability to say, I only want to sync this one item is not possible in Noble. Frankly, like more broadly, what I hope people learn from this is like, not how do we compare this out of the box versus scripting. It's just that scripting is usually the most flexible um, option out there because it is the
Mhm.
basic building blocks of the tool that you're using. And so
Yeah.
scripting is often just a little bit more work for the ultimate flexibility. And what we're hoping with Code Meets No Code is that it makes that jump a little bit easier by giving you the scripts right out of the box.
For sure. One thing that I'd add to that is that like it is a different tool. I think that scripting is more advanced. If I had to make a recommendation to someone who's just getting started in no code, working with automations, definitely start with a tool like Zapier or Integromat because it will be a lot easier for you to get to know the most important concepts of things like triggers and actions before you jump into this. And then tools like then what you'll find is that over time there are a lot of different tools that serve certain use cases. So Noble is fantastic for syncing entire databases at once. Zapier is good for sending individual records back and forth. And I think what you'll find is that scripting combines all of those together. But with that being said, it's also significantly more difficult to learn as a beginner than something like Noble or Zapier or Integromat.
Yeah, that's totally right. So the flexibility comes off the cost of the flexibility is like, well, you need to learn, what JavaScript is. But, we're hoping to lower the floor on that and make it much easier by giving you those core things you need to know and the scripts right out of the box. So great question, Penny. And if the FinSuite team is here, shout out. I'm not trying to replace you. We hope that folks can get value from everything that we do. Yeah, cool. Okay. Boom. Okay. So that was it for Code Meets No Code. I hope to see you there. Happy to answer any questions. Yeah, let's talk about Softr. So Softr, particularly there's a few things I want to mention about Softr. First, what is Softr? So let's go over here. Softr is a website builder built on top of Airtable as its data source. And I think there's a lot of these out there. But I think what differentiates Softr is its focus on like authentication, or the ability to add authentication on top. And it's been extremely popular for portals, right? So maybe you want to create a client portal, you want to create a very simple e-commerce store with payment. And Softr lets you do that. So you put all of your information into Airtable, and then Softr will enable you to create client portals, marketplaces, online communities. Very, very cool tool. And the reason I'm talking about it is that they just raised $12.5 million. And I think this is one of those examples of one of the first examples of like the Airtable ecosystem kind of raising money on its own, or not on its own, but like on top of Airtable as its base. So I'm a big fan. Wanted to share a little bit about Softr. And I think there's a stream. We did a stream. I think there's definitely a stream I did with Yohei where he talks about creating a client portal for his investments and his investors to be able to use. And, we get it up and running in less than an hour. So one other thing I do want to mention. So yeah, there was a piece, they talk a little bit about what they're going to do. So one thing that I kind of saw here that I thought was really cool is their focus on experts, right? So this is an opportunity if you are an Airtable user and you're looking to like add consulting on top of what you do. I think Softr is, probably a really interesting option. It's one of those offerings. It's one of those growing companies. And so do recommend for folks who are interested in no code, want to make it a career, to add themselves as a Softr expert. And then when they're going from here is also similar to Webflow, I think, be able to add template marketplace, right? So Webflow similarly allows you to create templates that folks can reuse. We'll see if this is a monetizable marketplace or not, right? So will you be able to sell your templates on top of Softr? And if so, how do you create them? That's one thing I'm really interested in. And then a component store, which also is very interesting. It's like going that one level deeper of being sell components built on top of Softr for other Softr users. But clearly they're going after this kind of marketplace approach, take every folks that want to build on top of Softr and monetize that into a business. And yeah, I'm just really excited for them. And I thought it's a huge win for no code.
Nice. Yeah, it's actually been one of my goals to learn how to use one of those Airtable backend goals this year. I've wanted to create it so I can add some additional functionality that I currently can't do with Webflow and MemberStack. So yeah, it's awesome seeing that a lot of these tools are kind of moving into that Series A stage, because I mean, with no code tools, like obviously you don't necessarily want to pick a tool that might not get out of the starting blocks, because obviously as soon as you commit to one of these tools, I mean, it's part of your stack, and like switching in and out of tools is not ideal. So yeah, it's really awesome. Congratulations to them. And yeah, I'm going to check it out soon.
Yeah. And I think, if I totally agree with you. And I think it's one of those things of like, it's great that they're setting this signal of confidence that like, hey, we will survive for the next years to come. Cause there's nothing worse than like, hey, I'm going to learn this tool. And then 6 months later, like, oh, actually like we went bust. Right. And we can't use you. But I think this particular space, so we have Softr in this space. There's Pori in this space. There's also Stacker, I think, in this space. Maybe a little further out and more developer focused is something like Retool, right? That ability to take any internal any data source. So I think some of the interesting part here is, will Softr allow multiple data sources? Are they only going to stay on top of Airtable, or are they going to let you aggregate? Or and how granular are there going to be their ability to build things on top, right? And the more things you can build on top, the more complexity you build, the more it becomes difficult to use, right? So are they going to go towards a stacker model, a retool model? Stay and we'll see. But yeah, I wonder, are there any Softr users? Seems like Penny, Softr user. Maybe we'll do another stream with them. I think that'd be interesting. Is there anything, Connor, you want to build on top of Softr?
Yeah, so one thing that I've been thinking about building for a while is to build a client dashboard for the Unicorn Factory so that our customers can manage job board and inquiries themselves. At the
Mm,
moment, a lot of it is just emails back and forth, and it works, but you know, creating like a custom backend for them would just create a better user experience. So I've been playing with the idea of it, but I've also kind of I don't know, I haven't really jumped into it that much. So it's on the to-do list for this year.
yeah, yeah. Could I tell you a little secret of the first thing I do whenever I see a website builder? Uh, this is because I receive a lot of like, hey, we just built this website builder. Can you check it out or whatever? Um, here's the first thing I do. I right click, I go inspect, and then I check whether they've used their own product to build their marketing site. Um,
All right.
and honestly, I would say 60% of the time, the answer is actually no. Like, they'll say that they used it, but you can tell when you compare what's built on top of their tool and what's actually here that it's not the same output. But I was pleasantly surprised that Softr, in fact, uses Softr to build its own website, which is always encouraging. And shout out to them. I'm a big fan of using your own product, so shout out to them.
Right. The way I kind of approach is I go and see if their marketing site is built in Webflow, and if it is, then I obviously know that they know what they're doing. So
That makes sense. So our rules are, if you're building a website builder, you should use your own tool. But if you're building any other tool, it should be on Webflow.
yeah.
Okay, those are the rules. So we've got some use cases in the chat. So let me bring those up. So what folks have built on top of Softr here. So we've got Penny, who built, how to, I don't know what you're scraping there, Penny, but it takes you, like, the website took you 15 minutes to build. So that's setting. So vote of confidence. Seems like Ethan found some constraints, and then, was kind of worried that they were going to go off the map. And I think now that's a really fair fear, knowing now that they've raised 12.5, unless they're eating caviar 3 times a day. I think they'll be around for a little while.
Yeah.
So I have Russian parents, so we eat caviar every now and then. So it doesn't mean we're gonna go bust, but maybe once a month is your limit, even if you've raised 12.5 million.
This is I actually find it great, Ethan, that you told us that, because I think a lot of these no code startups sometimes don't realize that it is a huge consideration, like whether or not you think they're going to be around in like a year's time, because there have been no code tools that have come out with like a big bang and like product hunt and everything, and then it either leads to the product not fully working the way that it's displayed, or there's not a lot of product innovation that follows on top of it. And so yeah, I mean, it's a huge factor. Like, it is a huge factor for me as well. I'm like, especially when it comes to the Unicorn Factory, I need to know that the tool's going to be around for a longer period of time, because I know that it's so difficult for me to like just take a tool out of my stack and add a new one. And so, yeah, it's a good insight.
Yeah. That's why I don't learn new tools. It's just straight up, like, it's just so much effort and so much fear around it. So yeah, that's a great point. Software's here for a while. And yeah, really excited to see what people built. So Penny, you were scraping charities from Canada Helps. That's fantastic. Love to share the website. Love to see it.
For
Um,
sure.
so so yeah, so Softr is going to be here a while. We're really excited about it. We'll definitely have Mariam on, who's their co-CEO, if I'm not mistaken, to come chat and show us what they're building and where they're going to go from here. So yeah, so Softr, and we didn't have that much because it's January. So I wanted to share, so share some cool resources that I found in. If this is interesting to folks, I'm pretty bad at like curating things I find on the web. But if this type of content is interesting to you for no code talk, let me know and we'll add it to the agenda in following months. So I just wanted to share kind of two examples of folks who I thought were creating really cool content in addition to Martin that we showed earlier today. One is Lola, who's creating these like almost daily small posts. Now, it takes everything I have to write once a week. And frankly, I would say 2 weeks out of 3, I fail. And so Lola's been like really doing this daily thread. And some of them I found really interesting. One is like curation opportunities in no code. Absolutely 100%. Despite everyone building a, how to say, like a job board for their first no code project, I think there's so much to work there of like, well, I'm looking for a no coder who knows XYZ, or I have this particular vertical and I'm looking to augment our operations. Just generally, I think there's a bunch of opportunities. So every one of her posts have been fantastic. And I thought another one that I thought was really interesting was one around, let me try to find it here. Around testing in no code. Yeah, automated testing in your no code apps. Something I've talked about and thought about very often of like, I have workflows across many tools, across many applications. And how do I test to make sure the output of those workflows is correct? So an example might be I'm expecting an email or a webhook and it doesn't trigger. And frankly, this is, again, something that coders or developers have solved. But we're going to see trickle into no code to say, does this workflow work as expected? So this concept of testing is quite known in the developer world and is now just kind of coming to no code. Lola shared a bunch of really cool apps for automated testing output.
Nice.
Another one, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, when I saw Waldo, I thought, is that Webflow Waldo? You can just send him like screen recordings of your issues and he'll fix them for you.
Unfortunately, no, it's a different Waldo. But we're hoping that this Waldo is as pleasant and great as the other Waldo. So another one I want to kind of talk about is Jason. So Jason Staats, he is one of my favorite video people. And so Jason curates a community for accountants, and Jason shares kind of Airtable tips. And what I thought was really cool is he recently created this 1-hour Airtable for accountants. And even better is that it actually counts towards professional development. So a lot of professional groups like accountants, or I used to be an actuary, actually used to be an actuarial analyst. I shouldn't say I was an actuary. And you have to take development over the year. And he actually created one that counts towards professional development around teaching accountants how to use Airtable. Man, okay, I have a delivery that just won't stop. Sorry about that. So just wanted to highlight those two examples of folks creating amazing content and really serving different vertical, serving amazing. So do give both of them a follow. I'm going to go ahead and drop some links in the chat.
Nice.
This is Jason's YouTube and Lola. I'm going to provide their link. Cool.
I love seeing how all of these like niche consultants are popping up in the no code space. Like, they're so cool. Like, you've got a dedicated Airtable accountant or accounting consultant. And I think there are like so many opportunities in that space. Even just seeing like how much extra inquiries we got last year on the Unicorn Factory in New Zealand for no code related things is pretty amazing. So, I mean, with like you said before, even if you look at like new and emerging tools that are coming out, like Softr, huge opportunities in that space to get out there, consult, help do setups, and yeah, it's really awesome to see them all popping up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with the crazy part about Jason, you talk about a niche, but like Jason runs a large accounting firm, right? So, he's got a whole company around that. So really fantastic. And just creates fantastic content. So yeah, I think the takeaway from, I hope this no code talk is, one, that I'm very unlucky to have deliveries during the stream. And second,
Yeah,
that,
do you want to go get it?
I
I can entertain people.
Yeah, you think? Okay, I'll let
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
entertain.
We can do some Q&A. I just need a few questions in here. Go run on off. Go get your package. I was starting to feel a bit bad for him. But if there are any questions, this is now the time for the Q&A. So yeah, it's pizza. He just ordered a pizza. Pizza or the endless Amazon deliveries that he requests all the time. But yeah, yeah, but by the way, just one thing I'd say is that if anyone has any projects that they're working on, we do have a segment on No Code Talk where we typically review different projects built with no code tools. So tell us about them so that we can feature it in one of the future no code talks.
Yeah, and I'm sure Connor spoke some shit about me while I was getting my delivery. So if he did, just send me a Twitter DM or send me a message and tell me what he said to you all while I was gone. I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, I said it was either pizza or Amazon.
It's both. I got some pizza and a delivery. So cool. Well, that was this month's No Code Talk. I will see you all next month. It was a true pleasure. We're going to be back sometime in February. So please share with us your projects. Show us what cool stuff you've built over the next month. Connor, keep shoveling, man. Just don't stop. Keep working on it. And yeah.
Yeah, no, it was good fun. And thanks everyone for showing up. It's always a pleasure, never a chore. And yeah, we'll see you back for the next one.
All right. Bye, y'all. Have a great week. Have a great month. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.